welcome to the Data Plus Maps Tableau user group, which is now in its second year. We have a very nice agenda. Hopefully you know that already, or that's why you signed up for today. So thank you, DataFam, and the news for us that we are really proud of a fairly new user group is that we have now surpassed 500, I don't know, followers or people who are signed up to this user group. So that's pretty cool after starting just last year. So now we're growing. We still are a bit away from the analytics user group. Annabelle, you're like how many thousand? I don't know, but quite a lot.
7,000.
Yeah. Okay. So I shouldn't have asked, but we're happy with 500. Remember, we are more limited. We are focusing on anything that involves maps or map layers today, which is the topic of today. But we have three of the four leaders of this user group in this map somewhere around. We have George, you there, right? From Switzerland. And yes, Nikita, this is recorded. And then we have Teddy from Jakarta somewhere, all the way down there. And I think that Dennis from Canada, he might join us a bit later, but he was busy with something. But I guess again, Teddy, it's quite late for you. So this is the beauty of doing a virtual international user group. We get people from the whole world. Really difficult to say. But the agenda for today is this one. Oh, sorry, that's us. So we're just going to skip that. Event is going to be recorded. And we're going to do a Q&A in the end for the leadership and the panel. So if you have, how do we do this in Tableau kind of thing. But of course, whenever there's a presentation or when we do the spotlight, if you have any questions, use the Q&A as well. So that we're monitoring that and try to pass on to the presenter as well. So we're going to quickly go over to the most important thing, not listening to me. I've been doing training for a whole bunch of people today, so I've been speaking for 8 hours already. Then we're going to switch over to what we always do in this Data Plus Maps. We always have a spotlight in the beginning where we spotlight a DataFam member. Today is Wendy. And then we're going to switch over to Annabelle, who's going to talk about, well, map layers just want to have fun. So we'll see how fun that will be. When it's Annabelle, it's always fun. And then we're going to look at some KPI cards with map layers. So it's not necessarily just maps today. It's the map layers function that is so cool that you can use on anything that isn't necessarily a map. So he will... He said he needed 2 hours for his presentation, but we've given him in 40, so we'll see how we can push that as well. And then in the end, we'll do this Q&A. If you have any questions, if you have anything in general, just put it in, and we'll try to answer. There's a lot of smart people in here and me, so then we'll see how we can help you. These are the guys. We have ambassadors. Multi-year ambassadors, multi-year visionaries, and just a great bunch of people. Start with Wendy, which have been on our target list for some time to be on this user group, but we finally managed to both find a time that fitted and fitted us, and especially for her. I'm not sure what time it is for you now. Is it late?
10 p.m.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. But thank you for staying up this late.
That's fine.
If you haven't, or if you don't follow her on Tableau Public or on LinkedIn or anywhere, there is so much fantastic visualizations that she's been doing. All over, well, for years. And I also love, that's what we put into the into the the banner where you're doing this 3D maps kind of thing. So there's so much fun things you're doing, basically. I think with maps.
Oh, thank you.
So that's of course why you were here. And as we always do when we do these spotlight sessions, we have some questions, and we have learned by experience that it would be nice to also share those questions a bit in advance so that you can prepare the answer, even though some people can also just answer on the fly. But today, at least, we have shared those answers. So before we start with that, I'm going to switch over so you can share your screen and you can show a bit on your project that you're working on now.
Sure. Let me share screen first. So yeah, so I'm going to share screen. It's not exactly what I'm working on because it's under NDA. My client project, it has NDA, but I make a demo. Just want to share with you 2 use cases that I find very useful in my current job. So share screen first. Does it work?
It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So some background. I'm working on a map design project, and it's not Tableau project. It's an atlas of about 30 maps for print. So it will be a book, and most of the heavy work is done in QGIS and Figma. The workflow is I get the initial data set from researchers and do some exploratory data analysis. And then I want to show them what the data sets look like, so that the researchers and the professors could spot some mistakes if there's any, or any missing value. So I need to communicate with my client about their data. And although none of my clients are using Tableau, and I Tableau, but I find it's still my go-to tool to do the data analysis. And also Tableau Public is how it's very helpful when I want to communicate with my client. So let's go. Here's the first example. So I've already published the dashboard to Tableau Public, and this is very simple. This is a demo. So map layers of 2 map layers. The color at the background, blue, darker blue is higher income, and also the pie charts are the loans that China loans to African countries, and this pie chart, the colors represents type of the lender. So that's very simple. And I need to share this with my client, and everyone here knows we could use the link or the URL in the web page. That's simple. However, I think none of my clients is familiar with this interface. I want them to focus only on this dashboard. I don't need these other buttons like link to my profile or some navigation buttons or some other details. So I find what's really useful is get this link, and I'm using Notion as a documentation tool, notes tool. So prepare this page in advance. So get the link, paste, and embed. Let me make it bigger. And it will be, this dashboard will be embedded into this Notion page. Information at the back, at the bottom. For example, how to use, since my client don't much about the interface of Tableau, I usually add, tell them how to switch the tabs, how to hover over to show the tooltips, and also how to click the legend to filter the data, and very important, how to navigate on the map and reset the map. So hover over here and reset using this home button. And also I will include some descriptions and observations. And when it's done, share and publish and share this link. I can put it in the chat. Yeah, and my client will get a very clean page with only dashboard and also how to use, and also my description and observation. And so I find that they actually use that, and they use it to inspect what data they have, and yeah, and also if some country is missing, they will update the data set and give me the finalized data set, so I can use that data in QGIS to make my design. Yeah, so that's the first use case. And another one is also very simple. I didn't realize I can use it like that. So let me switch to a bigger map. So sometimes my client just give me a massive data set. And in my current project, what I need to do is spot some economic corridor. Yeah, economic corridor. So those information aren't included in the data set. There is no way to filter that thing because they both me and my client just look at the map and say these countries, I want these countries in the economic corridor, and please, Wendy, please make a map about them. So I find it's really difficult to filter. I need to find out all the names, although it's also possible to do. But one day I suddenly find that what I can do is just drag these countries and deselect these background shape that I don't want. I'm using Mac, so it's Command and click. Deselect that. Okay, so I only need the value of the loan and also the type of the lender, and then hover over one of the pie and use this view data button. So here is the subset of a massive data set, which includes all these like 12 or 15 countries and their loan value. Also here you could, I can reorganize, although it's not essential. So after doing that, there usually a data button in the corner, but there is no button here. I'm using the free public edition, but it's still possible to download by select all and copy paste into Excel or other table tool, and then save as CSV, import into other GIS tool to keep making them. Okay, so these are the two very small use cases I recently find, but they are very useful in my project. Okay, so
thank you.
Yeah, let me first.
Always nice with those
sharing.
extra tips and tricks as well. I'm a big fan of that.
Great.
And I lost connection for some minutes in there, so sorry for talking over you apparently because I didn't see anything, but that was a browser issue and not you issue.
No problem.
But that's how it is. Can't trust technology. So I did have
Okay,
some questions for you.
Sure.
Yeah?
Go ahead.
Yeah. And these are the same questions we ask in general, but the first one is, what makes you tick? And of course, that could mean anything, but we are in a data plus maps user group. So what does make you tick when it comes to these two things, maps and
Maps
data?
and data. So in general, I feel really excited when I'm doing something familiar. So when using a new tool or using a new method or exploring some new formats. So that sense of unknown drives me. And when it's data and maps, I think there are I'm still learning about data analysis. So there's always something unfamiliar to me. And of course, Tableau has new features every year. So it's also some new tool, new features that makes me excited. Yeah, so that's basically what excites me.
Yeah, but that's the. I started using Tableau in version 7. That's now 13 years ago. Filled maps was introduced back then, and then it has been more and more stuff happening. But I think over the last 3-4 years, there's so much new stuff. Well, obviously the map layers we're going to see more about today, but spatial calculations and everything else you can do now in Tableau is making it way more fun to work with as well.
Yeah, besides the new features in the tools, some new use cases like the two I just shared also makes me excited. So something yeah, I haven't used before. Yeah, and I like discovers it feels like I'm discovering this tool.
And then, of course, there's a lot of people on this call or this meeting that look to you and your visualizations and everything you've done with map and have you as an inspiration. And then, of course, our question is, what inspires you?
Okay, so most of my inspiration comes from nature and from daily life. So many of my maps are about my trips in Europe or in New Zealand, or some are about the data like quantify self data. So I collect data myself and make data visualization or make maps. And so basically it's the place I've been to and the sceneries I've seen. Also, I'm recently, so I used to make lots of Tableau maps, but recently I make 3D maps and sometimes 3D animation. Most of these are about my my travel. So it's lots of them are based on the beauty of nature. So that's where my inspiration comes from.
Yeah, that's what I always say to people as well. If they go and start learning Tableau, they use Superstore, and that's not relatable to a lot of people. So if you have your own data or data that you've collected, it's so much more fun to work with, and also I think you learn way more about that as well.
Yeah, and it could be very small data, not big data, very small.
Yeah.
Could be just a week, like your timeline in this week, or you have a hobby and you maybe track time of how much time you spend on painting or sports, something like that. It's very small data set, small topic.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And what is big data anyway? It's just too much data to have an overview of, and you don't feel passionate about big data. You feel passionate about some data that you have collected or is something relatable to you, I think, as well. So that's the inspiration. And then do you have any favorite maps, or it doesn't have to be Tableau, of course, but
yeah. So I have Yeah, exactly. Two examples. One is from the community and one is outside the community. Let me share the screen. So this one is from Kasia from Poland.
Yeah.
And yeah, and she said it's inspired by my work. I feel flattered. It's slow. Okay, so that I think this 3D map background is something I make. I've experimented a lot, and I like this is this about how tourists go to Poland, and has a map at the top and also a list at the bottom. And my favorite part is the toggle. So in this view, Kasia changed that background to plain version. It's monotone, and on top of it, it's a map layers, multiple layers. One is the shape of each state or province, and then the bubble, the circles indicating the number of tourists. So I love the view of it, and also the different background. That's very clean, very clear when there is a layer on top of the background. And also I like these small maps. I've already downloaded, make it bigger. So these small maps are actually made by map. I download the workbook and find these small details so detailed, and I love these very subtle details. But that's lots of effort to like filter each of these region and make them look good in this list. So I recommend you to download the workbook and have a look. There are lots of details and a lot of effort in this map. Another example is from also of the community. It's by Craig Taylor, one of my favorite map designer. Let me go to the homepage first. So
Mapzilla. That's
yeah,
nice.
Mapzilla. I can share the link, but the link is so. Yeah, I just shared the link in the chat. So Craig Taylor have made lots of map design. So most of those are 3D maps, and some of these are animations. And also, my favorite one is called Coral City. Is this one? I think version. Let's go to the first version. Yeah, maybe it's not loading the top image, but that's fine. So what I in this case study, there are lots of stunning large images of these cities. So each of these coral, it's called Coral City, and so each of these the road network from the city center, and here is animation. And yeah, so I just share with you the link, and yeah, please go to the page and read those details. And there are lots of thoughts and design decisions. This beautiful map design.
Yeah, I've seen some similar with ones with a bit of the animation where, like, you have these networks, or how far can you drive in 90 minutes from multiple cities in Tableau as well. I think that's a lot of inspiration taken from these.
Yeah, although I've tried. Yeah, I'm learning 3D modeling tool, and I try to recreate some of Craig's work, but it's not as beautiful as that. And although sometimes I don't use same tool, or I can't create something similar, I can still get inspired by this work and try to use it when making map in Tableau. So yeah, that's very interesting and useful. Cool. So these are my favorite maps.
Yeah, and now also Dan mentioned that Kajsa is presenting at the Polish tag. So when you finish with this later on, stay till the end. You can switch over to the Polish tag, and she's doing a presentation as well. So it's going to be an interesting evening for people. Then we looked at some of your inspiration and your favorites, and then could you share something about your style, or if you do have a specific style, and do you have any tips and tricks to share with us as well?
Okay, so I try to avoid sticking to a single style because as I've mentioned, I always want to try something new. So sometimes I see some interesting style, I want to try it. So also when I'd like to design for the data or for the theme, I don't want my style become a limitation. So I don't really want to stick to a single style. As for did you ask about tips?
Yeah, if you have some
a
couple of tips, your go-to kind of tips too.
Okay, so one of my go-to tips is I think it's Steve Jobs said creativity is just connecting things. So one of my tips or trick is when I learn anything new, I will think how to connect them with what I've already know. So for example, I'm learning paint or sketching, and I learned some tips from landscape painting. One of it is using temperature of the color to create depth. So maybe very conceptual, or in simple words, use warm color for objects in the front, and use cooler color for objects at the back or further away. So I want to use it in map design. I'm still trying to use that, and I feel it's useful. So when making maps, when we do graphic design or layout, we could make something bigger to create a focal point. However, when we make maps, we can't make small country bigger. and I think when I see this like color temperature concept, I think, wow, I can use color temperature to in the map design to make some country the focal point, while the other country I use cooler color to make them like look further away. And so I've tested already, and it actually works. So I don't have any very good demo at the moment, but if I find something useful, I can share later with you. Yeah. So back to the trick. Back to the trick is learn something and connect them with what you already learned.
Yeah, and the tip to also the whole group is to follow Wendy's public profile, because if you made something, you're going to publish it there, especially if it's in Tableau, so we can reuse it, right? What I like to do is to, when you talk about focusing on the most important thing, I'm from Norway, so when I have data from Norway, I just want to get rid of those damn Swedes. I just get rid of the entire map layer and get rid of Sweden. So that's what I do. I don't want to give them a color.
Yeah,
And then
keep a
finally,
warm color.
yeah, finally, what is your guilty pleasure, or do you have any fun facts to share that you're not incriminating anything, but just some fun fact?
Yeah, so I try to ask ChatGPT guilty pleasure. To tell you the truth, that's hard to answer. I think I've got some small guilty pleasure, not a big guilty pleasure. So I'm a big fan of. I actually have an example. It's not about data or maps, but it's about collecting things. I'm a big fan of stamps. It's not the stamps for posting a letter. It's a ink stamp, like a stamp. Oh, it's blurry.
Yeah,
Can you see
that
it?
stamp on like with
stamp
ink.
on the paper. So it's very popular in China. So many museums and travel like visitor centers, they have all sorts of stamps, and I enjoy collecting these stamps. But sometimes I always need to carry my small blank notebook. Yes, these two are nice. It's Van Gogh's. Oh, so blurry. Oh, it's. I shouldn't turn on the blur background. I think it's
That's
working
fine.
now. Yeah, so it's Van Gogh's bedroom. It's famous painting. Yeah, and the other one is the white cat. Yeah, so I got this last week. Yeah, so what's the key part is, first, I always need to carry a notebook around just in case, And also sometimes I need to wait for my turn to get the stamp, because it's very popular and many people doing the same thing. So there is sometimes I need to wait like for 5 minutes to get the stamp. Yeah. But
Yeah,
now
but
I
that
have,
could,
So
that could be
some,
something you can try to visualize as well then, using map layers. Some of these stamps.
Yeah, so I do have data on it, and also I write down which museum and which gallery I got the stamp. Maybe I can make a map for other like fan of the stamps, or anyone who wants to visit Shanghai and who also loves stamp. I can share the map, so you can get a beautiful stamp there. Okay, so that's the guilty pleasure if it counts.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be maps, obviously. So having those stamps, that's nice. I see that. Annabelle also mentioned that they also do that in Japan for those kind of stamps.
Yeah, it's actually from Japan. I think it's more popular in Japan.
Thank you, Wendy. It's been interesting to not only see all your beautiful visits on Tableau Public and all the cool stuff I've seen, at least on LinkedIn, and what you've been publishing, but also meeting you in person.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet all of you in person too. And thanks for having me. And hope you enjoy the rest of the talk.
Yeah, well, we have people now, this Annabelle person and this Prasan person that I've met many times before. So I'm really looking forward to the next bit. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. We had Wendy on, and now we're going to switch to Annabelle. According to to LinkedIn and everywhere, it's data visualization and enablement lead at Annabelle and Company, right? Self-employed.
If I ever create like a company, I already have a cool name.
Yeah, she also has a lot of cool things on everywhere when you look on social media, but on Tableau Public, a lot of cool visualizations and following that little mouse or You say that you love to viz about animals as well, so there's a lot of fun stuff there. And these days you're doing a lot of these with Adam Miko. So if you're interested in figuring out what's this new Tableau thing, this Tableau Next and all this AI funny business, then you're doing a blog post about that as well. So that's pretty good. But today I'm going to switch over to you. So now you're going to show us or talk a bit about that. You have to put that viz in again in the link, because now it's so far up the chain.
Yes, I will. I will share my screen, and after I will share the links. You know, I'm old generation, so I need to go step by step.
Yeah, don't do two things at the same time. That's fine.
It's too much for me. You should see my slide, right?
But I mean, you're a woman, so for you it should be a lot easier than for me as a man. So I can't.
Yeah, I can do two things on the same time or three things on the same time, but technology is still. So let's get started. So thank you very much for having me. A map, it's one of my favorite topic since several years now, so I'm very happy to be here. So today I just wanted to make like a fun presentation about map players and how we can have fun with it. So like you said, my name is Annabelle Rincon. I'm a Tableau visionary and ambassador. I have been working 20 years, more than 20 years now, especially in the financial sector. And I'm also co-hosting an analytic Tableau user group, a Data Plus Women Zurich event, and Enable webinar. Here's my blog and my Twitter, but if you scan my this wave QR code, yes, the first page when you scan it is like asking you for your contact information. You don't have to do that. You just can close it, and then you have access to all my links, LinkedIn, blogs, user group, whatever, all of them. So you can ask me any question using any of my social. That's fine. Okay, so first I want to say that map layers is probably my favorite feature of all time in Tableau, since parameter action, but I still use it. So yeah. And I love it because they are very flexible and you can do really a lot of things with it. Two of the last viz of the day that I got were done with map layers. So for instance, this one, Jimmy is back. So it's about an actor, a bird actor that was called Jimmy the Raven. And he played in 26 American movie between 1938 and 1954. And I'm sure that you have seen at least one or two of these a great movie because you see that Jimmy played with Frank Capra and Williams Berg's movies. And if I tell you like movie like A Wonderful Life, or You Can't Take It With You, or something like that, I mean, I'm sure that you know this one. Anyway, this one has been done in map layer with map layer, but using only one worksheet. And I think 23 map layers to achieve this result. And what I like with map layer is that they are very versatile. So you can really do whatever you want with them, make some layers invisible until something happens, or that a certain date is reached, or also make the map layer unclickable or clickable under certain conditions. So that's what I really appreciate. Anyway, this one is about Jimmy the Raven. And I also have a viz of the day for this advent calendar that I did using only map layer. I mean, this one has been done with two worksheets. One for the map layer, including the entire calendar, and one for this little slider. What I love to put is like unnecessary requirements when I do like public visits. The unnecessary requirement is either limited the number of worksheets, of like, hey, don't use any background image, or try to do everything in Tableau, including sliders. Anyway, so this map layer I wanted to show you before like going and deep dive into the viz that I wanted to present it to you today. Why? Because here what you can see is like that some windows, some advent calendar windows are visible, and some you can see them, but they are a kind of blur, or at least the drawing is blur. What happened here is that you have a parameter action that trigger this point icon non-clickable map layer. And so for instance, this one is a screenshot done on the 6th of December, on the 5th of December. So every window 1 to 5 is available to click, visible, but starting from the 6th, if you click here, nothing will happen. Whereas if you click on the 5th, something will happen. You will draw to a new URL action or something like that, or like another window will show up. And why? Because you have a point icon non-clickable that is a map layer that is drawn only when the day it's after the day of today, so 6 to the 31 of December. And it's drawn top of the current other map layers. And this is done on selecting non-clickable, non-selectable, whatever. So that's why I said that it's very versatile, and you can really play and try to push up the creativity. And that's why I always, like every year since like 4 or 5 years, I have been doing advent calendar every year, but I try always to find a new way to do it. I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to use a technique that I really use it last year. So I try always to either push the map layer in one of the other direction, use zone visibility, something else, something different. For the moment, I always have found like a new way to do it. Let's see if this year I can, but that is another story. So like I say, each time I learn something new on this 2 project, either that I build a navigation panel using map layer, that's the one that it's here that I haven't commented. So that is also a map layer, whereas if you click on the one, that will drive a parameter action to be fit with the value of 1, and some map layer will appear under this condition. Or I use map layer to display or hide element at a specific time, or to make some element unclickable. And my advice for you will be that if you want to, like, hey, I want to learn map layer, I want to push myself a little bit, the next project, personal project, I will use map layer. Whatever you want to do, plan it very truthfully. So, sure, you should start with a drawing, but you should also draw or have it very clear what interaction, what will happen, which layer will appear when something happens. So for instance, here for Jimmy the Raven, I have to have very clear which map layer or how the map layer will look like, or the suite of map layers will look like when the parameter will be at 0. When the parameter will be at 1, I should really think, hey, this and this element appear, this one will disappear, etc., etc. The same for the second and for the third. Because otherwise, if you try to do that on the go, you will have you will be confronted to some issues. And I said that by experience, that could have been avoided if you would have planned properly at first. So this one is like how the map layer worksheet looks like. And there is like, I think 23 map layers to achieve that. So that's why I said that you should really plan it truthfully from start. And also to save time in the future, especially if you have been asked to present some of your work after at a tag or something like that, or you want to work a blog, you should like always give like meaningful name to all of your map layers. So here at least I know that this map layer will display the credited story from Jimmy the Raven, and this map layer, it's only visible when the story, which is triggered by the action on this 3 point, the story will reach a value of 3. So whenever I will click on the 3 number. The same for the bottom story tree, that will change the color when I will click. you know, so at least you can follow what is happening, or if you have to reverse engineering to find like an issue, you will go much faster. So that's what the real map layer look like. It's really like layers on top of each other. And why I said that is because that also have an impact. If a layer is on top of each other, it will make it unclickable or very difficult for you to click. So you already have to think about the position of the layers also. Okay, so how do I approach a new challenge? So last year, I think it was last year, I was reading this book, An Answer for Everything, from Delay Gratification. It's a very funny book about a lot of infographic. And I come up with this visualization. I fell in love with it. And I say, oh, can I do that in Tableau? Will I be able to do that in Tableau? Of course, using as less image as possible. No background. So I decide to everything here to redo it in Tableau without using any image except from the little icon. Of course, I give like the reference. When you go to my Tableau public, you will see the reference of the book and everything, and I ask for authorization. And I even update the data because I found new data to update it to 2023 or 2024. Here it's stopped in 2020. So that was a prerequisite. So that is my final viz. So that is a viz before you do anything. So you have one bar or one super ellipse for every animal. And how you read it, it's an animal, for instance, this one is a tortoise, has disappeared. We thought that it has disappeared in 1906 and reappear, or someone found it again in 2019. And what happened is when you click on a specific image, so here you click on this salamander, you have not only some additional information about the image, the animal, but you have also where it has been found again after 40 years of missing, and the red list status. So this objective for this vid has been having fun and learn new trick. Like I said, I don't want to repeat myself. I want, if I do something in Tableau Public, I want my personal time, I want to have fun and I want to learn new tricks or trying to push myself. Always minimize the number of worksheets. So when I can, I do only one, but for this one in particular, I couldn't reduce it to, it's only two worksheets because I use a map and the rest is done in map layer. And I cannot incorporate a map in the map layer except if I use image. And I want like to reduce, so minimize the use of image. So that's why I had two contradictory requirements here. Okay, so here I don't use any image except the cute drawing. I say cute because I have done it myself, so I can compliment me from time to time. And I use two worksheets. Like I said, one for the map and the rest for all the map layers. And where I want like to go through is like the 15 map layers. So this visualization uses 15 map layers. Every element is a map layer, either like this circle to outline the map, the end, the disappearance and reappearance date, the little axis, I mean, everything. And some of the map layers are activated only when I do an animal selection. So for instance, this list highlight only appear, or it's only drawn when I will click one of the animal. That works with a parameter action, obviously. So when I click, the ID of the animal is sent to the parameter action. The parameter action is set at maybe -1 at the beginning. And as soon as it's not -1 and is activated, something happens. So here it's like what happened. It's this to draw this picture. It's a point with a certain icon from the map layer. And if this animal is selected, so that means if the animal match the selected animal parameter, you draw the point. Otherwise, do nothing. So now we will focus on how we draw this ellipse or super ellipse. And I will go through this calculation, so we will not have a look so much on it now. So what is it? Is like, okay, you make a point when the idea of animal is between 1 and 21. And why is it? Because I may have used this ID animal for things, for other elements that were not animal. So that's why I had to fix this calculation slightly. I want to be honest here. And why I did that is because, for instance, if you remember this visualization, the axis is done using the same formula than the animal here, but it's not an animal, and I don't want to behave the same way with a parameter action when changing color when you select it. That's why I had to remove it from the calculation, but still have it treated as such. Okay, so let's go back. So the animal here is like nothing very complicated. Once you have the formula and everything that we will go through in 1 minute, you just had to put ID into path, because what we will do is use this polygon to draw the ellipse and color the bar in a different color, depending if you select the animal or not. Of course, more things happen there, but let's focus on this. So how does it work? Drawing a polygon is the same for this ellipse than if we will do it for this advent calendar. What you need is different points. So for like a square or rectangle, you need 5 points. So first and the fifth be having exactly the same coordinate. And then you can play adding more layer on top. So for instance, for the advent calendar, I use another layer to add the number of the day, and then another layer for having the icon. For this one, it's exactly the same principle. To be able to draw that, let's first focus on drawing this, the different element. So let's go back to how to read the chart. So each column, it's a different animal or ellipse or whatever you want to call. The high is the number of years of disappearance. So if we look at the last one, the animal disappeared in 1827 and have been seen again in 2003. So that's how you read it, with the axis starting very on the upper right and ending on the bottom right. Okay, so to generate the ellipse, or I mean it's called a super ellipse, we will need like a calculation, an equation like this, more or less. So how it works, you have the A that defines the width of the ellipse, B that is the height of the ellipse, and in my case it will be the difference between the last seen date and the rediscovery date. And then I play a little bit around. I found that A as a 5 will be good and N at the 6 will be good. So here you have like the different element of the N, and if you play, it will affect a lot the drawing. So N equal 5 didn't really match my case, so I put it 6, but that was like more playing around with the numbers. So when we have that, and to have that, to generate all these points, I will need to use a densification technique. So how to do that? I will just join the list. That is the ID of all my animals, so one row by animal, with the name, the last time it has been seen, the reappearance, and I do a relationship with a densification ID sheet. That is just 2 columns. One for the idea coming from 1 to 201, so 200 points, and then one for the angle that grows from 1 divided by 100p at every implementation. So it will go to 0 to 2p. And then like this, I obtain for every animal 200 points to allow me to draw this ellipse. And I will use this ID in the path. So now I can create my calculation X and Y in Tableau. So you see you have the A for 5, the cos angle, and power to divide by 6. And Y is I use the difference between the last seen date and the rediscovery date. Nothing very complicated here. My only adjustment has been done that if I use a formula like this, it doesn't work. It doesn't create me the ellipse, the global ellipse. So that's why I play with the sine cos and the absolute cos to be able to deal with the entire symmetry and have a symmetrical and close super ellipse. So when I use this fix, I still have my all my ellipse center around 0 vertically and horizontally, which is not what I want. So we will start fixing the horizontally. And to fix the horizontally, I create a new calculation called X prime, where I just do this modification, which is just allow me to distribute the different X regularly around the different animal are distribute the different animal uniformly around the x-axis. And then after doing that, I have another problem. I see that all my ellipses are now centered around the vertical axis. And that I need to fix because they don't start at 0. I want that each of them starting when they have disappeared or when they have been seen at the last time. To do that, I need to readjust the y, my axis, with this formula. So that's allow me to really put now for instance, if we focus on this one, now it's really starting at 2020 and not at 10 like before. So it's just a question of putting it right to each of them that making them start or making them end, like hope you want to see, at the last seeing date. And when you have to do that, it's almost finished. So now, if you remember, or maybe not, this axis is not the axis the way I want to have it. I want to reverse the axis. And that I will do it directly in fixing the final formula. Yes, that's almost there to show you that the great spider disappeared in 1999. So it's almost 2000, but it's 1999, and reappear in 2020. That's the one that we wanted. And then I just need to transform all this calculation into a map layer. To do that, you remember I have this fix first, and then I use make a point. When you have X and Y axis, what you have to do is put your Y as the first element of the make a point, and the X at the second element. So because I want a reverse axis, that's why I put the minus before. And this divided, it's just because I have my X prime and Y prime like very with high number. It's like around 2000, 2020, 2030. And to deal with latitude and longitude, it's always better to deal with number that is between -1 and 1. That's by experience. Otherwise, if you take it too much, of course, you can go a little higher than 1. But if you take like 25, 50, you can start having like distortion due to the mapping projection. So that's why I always prefer to have like a small number. But I'm sure that Prasan will deep dive into that. So just to conclude, what I learned using map layer, so really plan it truthfully. draft your initial plan, define specifically the layer appearance and aesthetic at the beginning, not during the course of your viz, like I always do. And reflect on this project and maybe consider other alternative. If you tell me, Annabelle, just to learn and to have fun, yeah, please go ahead. If it's that to be like a business dashboard, 27 map layer, it's maybe a little too much, especially to maintain over time. If it's one shot, why not, of course. So always go step by step or layer by layer, use X and Y, and then iterate like I did here, and then convert it to map layer at the end. That's the way I prefer to do it, to see if I'm going on the right direction. And always think about the future, give a meaningful name to each map layer, and calculation can be useful, especially if you have been asked to speak at a tag, and clean up your workbook. Delete everything that is not necessary and clean up also your worksheet. Delete everything that didn't work out as expected. And yes, let's keep in touch. Here's my Tableau public profile, my blog, my Twitter account, and my LinkedIn. And I will copy paste the different resources in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle. By the way, it's called X now, not Twitter anymore. But
it's true, but I'm old. It's a little bird. It's a little bird. I'm still
yeah. Yes. Just kidding.
It's okay.
And I like when you're showing the most complicated calculations ever. It's like, it's not complicated in here. Well, it isn't, I guess, if you know how to do it. But
it's just step by step. Sometimes I have to scratch my head. Oh, I did that already, and I read again my blog.
Yeah. So documentation is important, regardless of what you're doing. That's also a key takeaway in here. And also you can see that however much you would like to put into a visualization, you can have so many. I'm not sure if there's actually a limit on the number of layers you can have, but you haven't reached it yet, at least.
No, and I have been very deep, but not yet reached. The last one, yeah, not. I don't know. 30, we are still good. 35, still good.
Yeah, I just realized when I checked, Kaisa is doing this Poland tug later today, but also together with Dan Chisik, and he's attending. He's here today, so I guess he's just warming up, getting some tips in from you guys before he's joining the Polish tug later on. And now we're switching over to the last, but not least, of course, Prasan, the last and the best, or the whatever. We'll see. But we're gonna listen to Mr. Prasan, who is a manager of data visualization. He's a database manager and coach. He's a thought leader. He's a lot of stuff apparently, but he's also a very nice guy, and he knows a lot about map layers. Yeah, as George says, unlimited number of layers. Let's see who can crash that limit first and foremost. So if you haven't joined Prasan's Tableau public page, please do that, and let's see if we can get him over 1,000 followers today. That would be cool. He promised that he will pay a lot of rounds at the next conference for me if that happens.
Okay, so thank you so much, Data Plus Maps Tug, for inviting me. I'm not gonna thank Tore for sure, and everyone else, and such great speakers, and kind of nervous. I have my water as well. So I hope you'll be a bit happy after this presentation, maybe smile like this guy, if you can see him. Yeah. So hope you'll be happy, and you will be able to use it at work or in your dashboards as well. So today I'm going to talk about making some KPI cards. We'll touch up on a bit. I'll try to do it hands-on right now, and you can use all that knowledge to build your own. So I'll build the base, and from there you can take it for yourself. Okay, so today we are trying to build something like this. I would say it's good, it's clean, and it also gives you insights about what you want. Now, some of the questions can be around why not do it with the simple Tableau functionality that we already have? Because I can see with two measures, maybe you can do dual axis. You might not get that shading as well as the line and then dot, but at least you can do two of them. But also you can have those numbers with so many table calculations. I don't really like them at all. I've tried them, but yeah, but this really worked for me, as well as some of the things. If you look at small multiples, you can do kind of so many things with it as well. As I mentioned, with table calculation, you can have those bands up on top, maybe use LODs as well. However, some of the restrictions are there. First thing is period labels are always at the bottom. You can't have with all of these different boxes over there, because let's say if I'm building a KPI grid, I would like to look at them individually, not like the labels are at bottom. So this is one of the restrictions there. Other restrictions are not multiple layers. Dual axis is the maximum you can go for, and then heavy lifting with table calculations as well, which I don't like. So here I am. I'm Prasan. I'm manager data visualization at Emirates NBD, 3 times Tableau visionary, 4 times ambassador. I have some of the initiatives, Tableau Buddy, Wiz Diner. These are for helping people and have been helping out so many professionals around the globe, as well as I'm a mentor at Data Visualization Society and tug leader at Analytics, one of the biggest user group. If you haven't been there, please do. Next week or next week, maybe next week, yeah. And
next week,
also Tableau
it
Buddy.
is the biggest. It is the biggest.
It is the biggest. Yes, it is the biggest. And also we have Tableau Buddy user group, and tomorrow we are launching Dubai Tableau user group as well. So it's the first event. I'm very excited for that. Okay, so before we get onto the map, I'll just talk about a simple mathematical concept that we will reuse multiple times, and that is something called normalization. Normalization, if I take it mathematically, it looks like something like this. So you have the X value, you subtract it by the minimum of X, or let's say you have a range of different values, let's say 10, 20, 100. And then you divide by max minus minimum. And what it does is it brings all of these values on a scale of 0 and 1. Now, if you show me on the first time this particular mathematical function, I would say, sorry, I don't want to go back to high school or my engineering days. So I like things very simple, and I'm very lazy at it as well. So in general, if I have to talk about it, I would say normalization just helps us to understand or place these values so that we can understand how far these values are from each other if we put them on a scale of 0 to 1. That's it. We are taking all of these values. Let's say we have so many different values, and now we are compressing all of it and bringing them on a scale of 0 to 1. And that's what we are going to use. And it's kind of a basis of how we are going to build the curves as well as area chart or bar chart. But first, we'll start with something very basic. So one of the things I always used to get confused was when you do make point. So when you are plotting map, these are coordinates, latitude, longitude. But let's say when you're building such a chart, which has nothing to do with geography or maps, then how do you treat them? That's really important. So if you see make point, the first value is always your y-axis, and the second value is always x-axis. And that's how you use them. Now we are going to take this and do the simple. We'll bring on the latitude and longitude. Let's bring on category over here on the rows, and we will bring region over here. Okay, now this is fine because now it's a whole big map. I don't know what to do with it. So I would like to restrict it first, because that is quite important. I want to have strict point where I want to place all these charts or bands, whatever. So what I always do is I have some basic coordinates that I'll use. First is my origin. It's just 0, 0. So 0 is my y-axis, x-axis. I'll start putting them up here. Let's say I'll bring it over here. It's somewhere here. Nothing to worry. Let's bring top left. I'm taking somewhere around 7 to be the maximum height. Now I'm going to bring that as well on top of it. Then I have my width. So how far I can go, it's 12. And these are numbers I am randomly taking, as well as I've used it multiple times at work. So it fairly works with these points. So I'm going to take this as well. Now you see it's kind of arranged. And then I'll also have my top right, just for the sake. With 3 points, you can always restrict it, but let's say now I have my 4 points over here. Okay, now the next thing is it looks something like, okay, wherever I am. So first thing first, I will just clear my map so that I can actually go to background, map layers, background layers, and I'll just wash it out. Yeah, so it can be clean. Also, the next thing is to go to map options and just deselect. I don't want all of this to be interfering with my work. Now, what do we need? First, we need is, we can start with bars or we can start with the bands as well. But let's say we start with bars now. Okay. So for bars, now there's a bit of mathematics that we'll be doing. So I already have it. So let's say we have this region, we have this category. Maybe I should remove this. So I'll just duplicate this to make it a bit cleaner for you. And I'll remove all of these for now. Yeah. So I have my region, category, month, and then I have my rolling period, because if we are showing trends, we want it to be restricted. You can use any different kind of rolling calculations to restrict it. I've just used it in this way so that I get my values in negative, and I'm restricting it from -12 to 0. That's how it goes. Now, that is the first thing, to just restrict based on my parameter. I'm restricting all the last 12 rolling months. That is the general ask, what I can see. Now, the next thing is I want specific name conventions, because if I'm just going to use it, it's not going to be, let's say, restricted or will look good. So I've created one more calculation that will just give me the name, something we already know. And then there we have something that is my custom date period sort, which I call, which will just give me from the current date how far they are. You can do that in inverse order as well. Let's say if I'm here at October 23, maybe it's 0 and then it goes to 12, or the other way around. Okay, so this has been happening for a while. My Tableau is crashing. I'll just bring that up again. Okay, so we are back at it. So now we were talking about these map periods that we have that goes from -12 to 0. Now, once we have these numbers, now these are kind of basic functionalities that we do with rolling periods. Now we have these numbers. Now what to do next? Now the next thing is, because normalization will always give us the values in 0 to 1. We can use them directly as well, but let's say if we have to shift it, then we have to always calculate it in a different way, or maybe do it in a different way. But let's say if you have to generalize this calculation to be used anywhere, so we will actually normalize these numbers. So what we are doing, I hope you can see this clearly. So the first thing is, we are just taking the average of, because we created this L.map period that is giving us the names, and we are just using that as a dimension to take the average, because since there are different dates, it will come to as a big number. So we just averaging it out, and then we are taking the minimum of this custom date period sort again, the normalization. So this is, if you see, this is our X. This changes as per our L.map period or different month values. This will give us the minimum, and then we divide it by the maximum minus minimum. Now, once we do this normalization, if I take all of this and place it over here, I'll make it discrete. So if you can see here, all these values are in a range of 0 to 1, where the minimum is 0 and maximum is 1. And they are equally spaced as well, because these numbers are equally spaced. Now, the next thing what I'm doing is I'm multiplying it with these values, because if you remember, in our sheet, we took the width, because I'll go back here in this one. So here we took our width as 12. So We are going from 0 to 12. So 12 is the maximum. So we will multiply it by 12 so that we can get all these values in that range and we can place them. So what happens when we are going to place this? Let's see. Now we make it discrete again. And now we can see this is again from 0 to 12. Now one question can be, we could have either done it, but again, if you, let's say, want to move it, then coordinates won't be coming in the way you want. So if you have to move it now, you have to just adjust these values. That's it. And your coordinates will be placed particularly. Now we go back here to the basic coordinates here. And first we'll draw this map baseline. So we have this map baseline, I'll show you, which is, it seems like, okay. So there's some adjustment I've done. So I'll make it back to, let's say, 0. Make it again 0. And this goes 0 to make it what we have already selected as different points. We can use these points as well, but I'm rewriting those numbers. So we have this make line that will just draw a line from 0, 0, that is here, to 0, 12, that's here. So now I'm going to bring this map over here. We have this clean line that we want. Now the next thing is we want to have different points for all our 12 bar points, basically. So what we do now, we'll have another map layer where we are just taking 0 and then the normalized value that we just calculated. So if you see, this is nothing but we just calculated. So once we use this as different layers, you will see all these points are coming on top of it. Now, these are all points. We need to place our L.map period on the detail. Now, these will be individual points. Now, from here, we can again go towards this, put it on the labels. It's overlapping right now. So we will go a bit down. And why it's not moving? Because it's map and it doesn't work like that. So the next thing we do is change it to shapes. And now it will work really well. Now with shapes, what I always prefer is, because I don't want to show those bubbles over there, I'll go to my transparent image. If you don't have transparent images, you should have always a transparent image. There are so many blogs by Kevin Froelich as well, and you can find a couple of them, how to create them, and you should have them. And now if you see there's a shading, that is nothing but halo. So I'll remove this as well. Okay, so now we have some of the points. It's not showing all of them because it's too big. So maybe I'll make it a bit smaller as well. And now we have all the points over here. Okay, so the next thing is to draw these bars, which is the most complicated thing over here. And it took me some time to figure it out how I can build it. So before that, I'll just drop some of the numbers for my bands. So let's say on the top left, I want to have my numbers. So I'll again change this to shapes, select my shape. I'll reiterate some of these things again and again. And I have my current sales over here that I'll put it on the top. Again, the same thing. I wish I could disable all of this at once, and we can make it bigger, whatever you want. Let's say we make it 12, and then we make it a bit right aligned. Okay, so we have the number as well. We have the line. Now, the next thing we want is our bars. We can have the percentage as well. That is handy with us. So maybe we can take this top right, go to shapes. It again follows the same thing. Go to transparent image, select the same item. And we can take my current variance over here. Okay. I'll later go to format it maybe and make it bigger. Maybe from here, I can make this 14. Should be fine. We can arrange them a bit later. Okay, now coming on to the bars, which is actually the main point of this whole presentation, apart from drawing the bars, the labels, basically the period labels, is how you can actually draw these bars. And again, we will slip into the mathematics, and that is normalization. So here, if you see, we have sales as a column, which has all the values. Now I want some values, and since we are going to have different discrete values as minimum and maximum as well, so we are going to do a LOD. And if you see this LOD, it's quite simple as comparison to all the complex calculations you saw in Annabelle's workbook. So here it's quite simple. You're just taking the B dot rolling period so that you can only have the ones you want. So that, because in normalization as well, those other numbers are not coming. And then these are the two dimensions. If you see region and category, these are the two, I would say, partitioning fields that are being used. So we will have always these two partitioning fields. And then we have this L dot map period, because that is also one of the partition, that is a bar period. And using that, we will get our bar amount. And since the partition is also in this particular text table, you can see these two values are same, and that's how it should be. These two values, all of them are same, and that's how it should be. Now, the next thing is to get the minimum and maximum. Now, it depends. What do you want out of minimum and maximum is based on what type of axis do you want. Do you want the whole axis to be same across all your KPI cards? Do you want to be normalized, or you want the axis to be independent across rows? Based on that, you will have to alter this minimum and maximum. But here, while we are having the same particular, where's the sheet? Since we are having the same measure all around, I'm keeping all the grids having the same axis. Okay, so we'll write these minimum and maximum calculations, which is exactly the same of what we were doing earlier with the bar amount calculation. But now we are also taking the min of it, and then we are fixing it. So across the whole thing, we are taking the minimum across of all of the values that are there in the grid. And same goes with, so you just duplicate this calculation, and then you replace the min with max, and you get the maximum. Now, if you see over here, these are the two calculations that we have. So 29.16, if I scroll down, I think we'll find it somewhere in technology south, maybe in Feb. Yes, this is the minimum value that we are getting, and that's across all of these values, and that's what we wanted. And the maximum value is somewhere around technology south, maybe, or east. Technology east here, October. That is our maximum value across this whole partitioning. So we got our maximum, minimum, and then we have, so if we go back to this mathematics, that is x minus x minimum by x max by x minimum. Now we have got all these three values that we have to use. Okay, so now we normalize it. Now again, what we are going to do is we are taking this x, that is our bar amount, subtracting it with minimum, and then divide that by maximum minus minimum, and then we are multiplying it with bar and coordinate that I have already fixed as 6. So if I have to show you this, so I've fixed at this 6 because what was my whole height of the grid that I selected? That was somewhere around 7. So I don't want it to overlay on top of my band. And since this is map and coordinate, everything is just numbers, right? So I want to spread it a bit below 6. So the highest value that I'll have will be 6. So that's why I'm just multiplying it with 6. I've created a parameter so that we can also change it, see how it changes. And that's why it is here. So because this whole thing will always, again, give you the value in terms of 0 to 1, in the range of 0 to 1. It's not going beyond that. But if we do that, our bars will be very small, actually. It will be really small. You won't be able to see it. So we are doing that. Now we have the normalized value. We have our bars are already, the baseline is already there. So the next thing is to build those bars. Now, to build those bars, we just do something like this, because bars, if we have to build those bars as Annabelle was showing you how you can build a polygon with 5 points. It's actually a good reference because you covered a lot, okay? So here we need just 2 points to build a bar. It's nothing but a rectangle, and we can actually control the width. So what do we need is, let's say our starting point will be 0. 0 is y-axis. So this is the point, that is the starting point. And the y will be our c dot bar period. So if you see here, all these points, they are here. So it will help us to build the first point across this line. And the second point will be our y-axis will be our normalized sales value. And its second coordinate will be our c dot bar period. So because this has to be across this bar period itself. Now, once we have this, we can just put it over here. We get the map. And we can actually, if you want to change it to bars, I'll have to actually just place L dot map period. It will work. It has halo, but let's say we stick to maps only. And then we can actually resize it in the way we want it to. Okay. And this helps you to create this bar, which is kind of what we wanted from this. But let's say we want to build something which I had shown you earlier, not this one. Now, how do we do it? It's kind of simple from taking it from there to here, because now it's more of just putting more map layers on top of it with the same calculations. You're not doing extra with it. So I'll go back to the sheet and I'll change this to area. Now we have this area. And again, I can take these map bars on top of it and lay it on top of this. And this time I'm going to change this to line. Same principle of how we do dual axis, but now you can actually have it in the way you want. And also you can overlay more on top of it. So let's say we want to remove the halo. That's why you're getting these bold white across this. Maybe I'll make it thinner. Okay, and what more? In the area chart, I want to make it gray so that it looks nice and clean. Okay, and this will make it a bit blackish. Yeah. Now, if you see one thing, which I also noticed recently, once you convert it into maps, from maps to bars or area chart, actually the sizing, it doesn't work like that. So you can actually, since we have these parameter handy, just bring it over here. You can actually increase this value to make it more bigger, whatever you want. But the scaling will be actually obvious, or it will be consistent. The scaling won't change. It's just to how you can increase it so that till the top you want it. It just gives you the maximum point where the map is going to be. So now we have this. The last point is again another map. I'm doing nothing fancy with this again. If you can see, since I already have this custom date period sort that goes from -12 to 0, I'm taking this custom date period sort is equals to 0 and then map.bars. So once I do this, I'm going to bring this on top of this again. Now I'm going to change this to circle, and it's fit right on top of this. And we again make this. Now you can put, am I over the time?
No, I just wanted to ask you a question from the Q&A. Why is there a null values down on the right-hand corner?
Because since we are doing this rolling period, there are so many values that we are forcing it to be null. And that's why these null values are there. We don't want to bring them into computation, nor we want the values still exist, but these are not on the map. And that's why it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so one of the things I did earlier was to move this, because if you see, this line is kind of obstructing my point over here. And also I don't need these origin as well as my width. So I'll just hide them. Maybe I would like to shift my baseline a bit. So that's why I did this as I want to extend them as well. So I want to, let's say, make this 0.1, and this is 0 is fine. And from here, it goes to 12.5. And once we apply, now it's a bit down. I think this also needs to be 0.1. Yeah. So we want to stretch it out a bit, and that's why we are doing this, and to bring it down as well. We don't want it to be almost projecting with our chart itself. Oh, sorry. We'll keep it like this. I think this is fine. We can make this map baseline. It's all about formatting. I'm really finicky about formatting, so please bear with me. Yeah. Okay, so adjustments can be more done. And now you can actually use these bubbles. You can color them as per the percentage. And it's particularly easy if you have the current variance. You can just put it on here. And then you can use the same thing. I'll just use advanced. I'll center it at 0. And then I'll apply. Okay, I need to make it step as well. So I only have 2 values. And okay, I'll keep this palette. Okay, so now we have a nice area chart with our colors, which are actually our indicators for the percentage. We can color them as well, format them as well, like we have done it here. A bit of, if you see these colors are a bit lighter, which we have used here. But with this, you can actually solve this. So I'll stop here for 2 minutes to, if you have any questions around this. And then I have one more use case, which I'll take for 5 minutes, because this actually doesn't serve all the situations, and which actually made so many problems at work. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it now, or I'll progress.
Yeah, you already answered the null one. Of course, when you publish this, the nulls will disappear, or the error message won't show on the. So that, and you can also right-click and hide it. But you mentioned earlier that you are using this at work. How does this workbook, or how does the workbook performance compare to the traditional Tableau features?
It actually works very well, because if you see, I haven't used so many of the calculation. There are calculations, but so many of them. But let's say if the designs are something in a way which Tableau can't actually do it with the native functionalities, or you might need multiple sheets to do with this, then I think this is the best solution. And I'll tell you, at my work, we have a time limit of 5 to 6 seconds, or maximum going up to 8 seconds for initial load. And that works very well with this. Even the clicks, every filter with parameter actions, it takes 3 seconds. So it's really good.
Yeah, so it's worth the effort of doing this,
Exactly.
this work that you're doing now, right?
And once you have my calculations, you can do it very easily as well.
Yeah, and then you can say that you have invented it on your own and get credit.
I did my
that way.
maths. I can say
Yeah.
I did my maths, but yeah, I didn't invented it for sure. Okay, now the next
There's just another question, Prasan, from Bart. Would it be easier to design this with just one region category or with all 12? Would that even matter? Would it be easier to design this with if there was just one region and one category? But then I guess you would only get one bar as well. So
right, because if you have these calculations set up, you have to just play with your dimensions, and the chart will be there. You don't have to do it. It's a one-time effort. And then you can play around with all your dimensions, whatever you want. The only thing is, because it's map, and you actually can't control map to resize. So once you have it in the dashboard, you might have to adjust those coordinates a bit to, if you want really pixel perfect solution. That is
like you always want. And a last question before you do the last bit. How do you think about these workarounds calculations in your day-to-day? So do you always
I've
do
been
it?
trying so many of them. So it was hard at first. I'll honestly tell you, this is maybe a month's work to figure out all the nuances where it's going off. It's not working out. But after some of the iterations, it can still go wrong. I won't say maybe it doesn't work, but as for now, whatever I've checked, we have already shipped 3 of the dashboards with so many of map layers, and it's worth the effort. It was hard, to be honest, but once it is done, I think it's a good solution.
Okay, thank you. Then you have 5 minutes.
Okay, so quickly, I'll give you one of the nuances, because here normalization worked very well with 3 calculations because all were positive numbers. But let's say if you have negative numbers, normalization will actually allot 0 to the negative numbers. And that's where this won't work. You won't get the ideal chart. So for example, you have this small multiple profit chart. Here there are so many negatives and positives as well. It's a mix. And that's where I was having so much problem, because like normal Tableau chart, it's not going to adjust itself. So what do you have to do for this? Now, we have to do a bit of iterations with our calculation. So let's say we had this C dot bar amount, which was actually equal to our sales. Now here we have profit. So what we are going to do is, first, now we don't normalize it with the normal numbers. We take the absolute of them. So if you see these calculations, what I'm doing is I'm taking same, the fixed of same, and then I'm taking absolute of these numbers. Now, whatever these numbers are, even negative, these are absolute. Same goes with min and max. So because I have to build a scale on a normalized scale, I'm taking all the same calculations, but just absolute with the profit, because there are negative numbers as well. Same with the minimum, same thing. Now we again do the normalization, which is profit minus minimum, maximum minus minimum into bar and coordinate. But this is not where it stops. If we see this calculation of map.bars, we were actually just taking this over here to have our y-axis. But here we have to plot it in a different way, because let's say we have restricted our points from 0 to 6, but the axis starts from 0. It won't work. So what we need to do is, first thing is, we will actually partition it in between. So we'll shift our axis in between. That will be towards 3. So if you see our map baseline, now actually I've divided my size, or the whole coordinate, the end coordinate, by 2 everywhere. So that is equals to 3. And the next thing, that is the only thing that we have done to make it work, is we also calculated the bar profit, which is just the normal values, which will be actually equal to the profit. So now using this, what we are trying to do is, in the map bars profit, we are actually writing 2 calculations, or 2 if then else. So we are saying whenever it is profit is greater than 0, wherever it is greater than 0, we start from 3, that is P end bar coordinate divided by 2, and C bar period. And then we are going it towards, again, we are dividing by 2, but also we are dividing the normalized value by 2. Because we have, if we are doing it till 6, it won't work. It will eventually go over the top. And the same, but let's say if it is not greater than 0, it's actually less than 0. Then here we do the same part, but here we are subtracting that value. Here we are adding. So if you see this particular multiple layers profit chart, now this is going off because we actually changed this to 10 and it's not working. So maybe I'll show this parameter, bring this over here, and I'll change this to 6 again. So now it is checking wherever it is positive, and based on that, it is drawing my bar from 3 to the top, and whichever is going negative, it is actually subtracting that value from 3. And that's how you can actually make a KPI card kind of dynamic, because I'm showing you in different bits, but let's say I had KPIs where in one row it was all positive, in one row it was all negative and positive. So I had to make it work so that it can go with the same calculation and it checks for the value. So I think that's it. It's one of the iteration I love most, and I've worked around this. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions. I have also published this on Tableau Public, so you can take it from there as well. Check the calculations, and you can always come back to me. Thank you so
That
much.
Jeff, as Jeff said earlier, are anyone else's brain in full meltdown now, because there's a lot of stuff going on, right? And you spend
Yeah.
a lot of time on it. But the
Yes.
idea is that, well, now first of all, it's available for other people to download, so you can try to adapt it and reiterate it with your own data. So it's pretty cool, and
Thank you.
also a bit complex, right?
Not
that's
like
the
the
fun
5
about-
points. Not like the 5 points. And sine theta and cos theta.
And that's the fun thing
Sorry,
about
Annabelle.
these map layers. I guess they were intended to be created as a for maps, but the DataFam just hacked around everywhere and put it into all the other layers, as we've seen in here as well. This one I forgot to show in the beginning, so you can still use the Q&A in here, but there's a link that I guess I should have copied, so I'm just going to do that. This is basically just something we like to do since we're a map tug. If you would like to just fill in where you're from, so we are creating a dashboard for this for the future events as well, so we see where people are signing in from. So you can use this link in the chat. And then we're going to have a new meeting again in November, December. We haven't decided exactly the date yet. If you're interested, if you have something cool to present, with or without map layers, maybe just ordinary maps this time, Annabelle, we'll see. Please let us know. You can sign in to this QR code and share your talk, and then we'll have a look at it. We have some people on the list for the spotlight and for presentation that we're talking with as well, but we're doing this 4 times a year. So if you want to talk about something, if something that you want to share, please let us know. Let me just double check now as well. Is there anything we haven't done? I think Syed had a question as well. So that's back to you, Prasan. If your initial data doesn't contain any negative values, should you still use the absolute calculation as a safeguard?
If let's say the KPI or the measure is like that, let's say sales, I guess it can never go negative, so I can use that one. But wherever there's a possibility, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily do it as a safeguard, but that depends on your data. If you know your data well, you know that it's not something that necessarily pops up, then yeah. So is there any more questions in general to the presenters, to the user group leaders, to anyone in here? Something that you're struggling with maps or not, then feel free to do that. Put it in the Q&A or the chat. And if not, we've kept you here for 2 hours almost. So I have a social thing at the office where I'm at. They're already started, so I need to leave. No, just kidding.
Or is always busy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the presenters. Thank you everyone for joining. And then within a couple of days, this recording will be available, and all the workbooks are also published already at Tableau Public. So thank you, and have a wonderful Wednesday or